worried, let's just say. A little, I don't want to use the word frantic, but pretty close to frantic.
I don't
frantic
think they
adjacent.
exchanged many goodbyes there. It was just
right.
open the
it
door
was just
and get out.
Get out, and barely, and then immediately took off. So this does have some earmarks of some suspicious activity or suspicious motives underlying the driving here. But again, it's not fast. He's not going too fast. He is blowing through a lot of stop signs that we have seen. Looks like he just did another one. And but the police are not pursuing him at the moment. And Chris, what are you seeing in terms of traffic in the area?
Sorry, Mark, I'm back with you. Yeah, just turned off onto York Boulevard. Again, traveling at about the speed limit, although that wasn't the case earlier either. In fact, we clocked him or her. It's unclear, to be honest, at about 75 miles per hour on Figueroa Street. So that was nervous enough until he finally got onto the freeway, and that's when they were considering inviting CHP to the pursuit, or at least to the party, to try and catch up with this driver. But once he or she got off of the freeway, they basically, again, they've taken a hands-off approach here, basically kind of just watching from a distance. There you see LAPD's air support still flying overhead here as they try and just rack up any more serious infractions that'll give the watch commander and supervisor second thought to maybe engage the suspect, or perhaps eventually pull into position when the vehicle finally does come to a stop. But unless they have any more serious crimes, it doesn't appear they're willing to take on the risk that comes along with a pursuit. So right now, traveling at about the speed limit, but still, you saw right there, everybody at that intersection has the red light. He or she just went right through it at about 40 miles per hour. No cross traffic there. Continuing on York Boulevard at Mesa Avenue in Highland Park. Again, hovering right around 40 miles per hour, guys.
And we did have some video up from earlier on the screen there, and it appeared that the female passenger, who's not now out of the vehicle, at one point actually was the one who had her hands on the steering wheel. Did you see that?
Yeah, we saw that. The passenger clearly was holding onto the steering wheel while the driver was doing something with their hands. We can only speculate what was going on. We really didn't get a great view of what was in their hands, but he was fidgeting, he or she was fidgeting with something, and the passenger was holding on very firmly, basically driving the vehicle from the passenger seat at one point as they were making their way through East LA. And now again, we continue now turning off onto Piedmont Avenue. Again, at this point, it is only clear that there is a driver in the vehicle. Passenger was dropped off. Do not know whether there's anybody else in the back seat, but we presume it's mainly the driver inside there. But again, we just don't know exactly.
And there's the passenger being dropped off. You saw her just basically run into that building. There's the video again where he stopped at Avenue 50 and Hackett Place. She bails out of the car quickly, carrying what appeared to be a purse and perhaps something else, like a backpack or something with her. Let's see it again. What she got with her. Yeah, backpack and some other stuff as she got out. That was about, I guess, about 10 minutes ago now, maybe. And since then, this driver has been driving, as Chris Christie has characterized it, aimlessly, perhaps, recklessly, not observing stop signs at the very least, and it has still maintained the interest of the LAPD. Their helicopter is overhead, no vehicles on the ground pursuing. And this may be at least a description of a vehicle that is similar to this, was involved in a pursuit, or what would have been a pursuit had the pursuing officers not collided with a pole in downtown LA. So this is similar to the description of the vehicle that was involved in that, which happened just a short time ago. Chris?
I should mention, when we first pulled up, there was a black and white behind this person, and you got the impression, just based on the driving at that point, even though the lights and sirens were not on, you got the impression they were trying to create some distance and trying to evade any attempted traffic stop. Now, there was no attempted traffic stop, but that was kind of an indication, and we continue to see that the driving was getting more aggressive. My hunch is that as we continue to keep an eye on this driver and watch the driving either de-escalate or perhaps continue blowing through red lights. That may play into the decision of LAPD whether to re-engage this suspect. A lot of times, more often than you would imagine, they often will keep an eye on our coverage to make some of those decisions. Right now, they do have their own air support overhead, although, Kyle, is he still overhead? Is he still tracking? He's in the area. He's not overhead. He's not technically in track, but they are about a couple miles back, kind of keeping an eye and basically watching our coverage as well to see what the behavior is like behind the wheel here.
All right, well, we're going to keep that picture up for a moment in one corner of our screen. We're going to go to Dallas because there is a warm-up ahead in the weather, and we want to make sure that that is covered.
It's cold last night, and how about the weekend? We had some light rain across Southern California, even some snow coming down the mountain areas. Let's get over there and take a look at it for you. This is the Mammoth Mountain area. Boy, this has been fantastic. We talked about this about the middle part of April, how there would be a shift. We'd start getting some snow in the Sierra after that awful March with warm temperatures and very dry conditions. Great to see that. Here in Southern California today, our skies are partly cloudy. It's been very, very cool today with those winds just howling through the area. Some of the areas have seen winds gust all the way to 35.
I heard that. Are they calling it anywhere? I had it off. Josh. Okay. Any LAPD? Or okay. Yeah, that's what I think. Copy. Copy that. Who is that? Who is that?
At this point, as helicopters overhead track this vehicle that's been doing some reckless driving maneuvers.
Michelle, can you hear me?
Yeah, let's go ahead and check in with Chris Christie now. Chris?
Yeah, so LAPD has basically been surveilling this vehicle as he or she has kind of meandered through East LA. Ended up just moments ago as we came on the air, running a red light right in front of South Pasadena PD, who immediately turned around and tried to catch up with the suspect, lighting her up or him up, and again, you can see refusing to pull over. Now, whether they have now jumped on the 110 freeway with the suspect vehicle, I cannot say yet, but when you get a chance, Josh, go ahead and widen out and see if there's any indication. Yes, there he is. South Pasadena is now in pursuit of this suspect vehicle, southbound side of the 110 freeway in Highland Park, now wanted by a completely different jurisdiction for running that red light in front of that cruiser. LAPD has taken a very hands-off approach here as that suspect vehicle has just kind of, as I said, meandered through town. Finally, a different agency has tried to catch up with the suspect, who is now refusing to pull over on the freeway. Now, South Pass will likely call for backup unless this slows down, or
South Pass has just
pull
bailed.
off. And now you saw him pull right off there. Without CHP in the picture, South Pass by himself was not going to continue the pursuit on the freeway. So unfortunately, South Pass gives it up. LAPD still watching from above. They're not even in tracking mode right now. They're really just letting this driver burn off some gas and see if anything else happens here. They really are just kind of keeping an eye on it for lack of a better term, they're just kind of keeping an eye on it.
Or
guys.
burn off some electricity, I guess. This is an
Electricity,
all EV Chevy Volt,
exactly.
so we don't even know how much charge this person has, and maybe that'll impact when they decide to stop.
Indeed. All right, we're going to keep an eye on that pursuit and the following of this reckless driver. In the meantime, there's other news to cover, of course. The man who's accused of storming the White House Correspondents' Dinner over the weekend, making his first court appearance today. He's
It was a wig, right? You were right. Copy. Is it a man? water. Whoa. Dropping the vehicle off, bailing on the freeway. Yeah. What school is that when you get a chance? Let's come around, Kyle, see if we can. Maybe he might be trying to climb. Yeah, maybe he's going to go up the walkway. Here he is. Hey, Booth, you up? Booth, are you up? Sure. Yes. They should be pulling in here any second. Yeah, really erratic behavior, Michelle. The driver of that Chevy Volt, that's the driver right there, basically dumped the vehicle in the middle of the 110 freeway and then tried to climb through a fence along an embankment off of the freeway over a pedestrian path, has now walked about at least a quarter of a mile as LAPD attempts to get units in this neighborhood and potentially catch up with this suspect. They are now watching him walk down the street here at Avenue 33 in Humboldt. We're going to keep an eye on this one for you guys and bring you the latest coming up. Reporting live from Air 7, I'm Chris Christie, ABC 7 Eyewitness News. Hands up. Okay, copy that. Yeah, he's now being placed under arrest. You can see several LAPD officers with the suspect prone down on the ground, placing him in handcuffs. This is the driver of that Chevy Volt, who he had abandoned the car on the freeway. I should mention, during the course of this following, he was wearing a large blonde wig, which contributed to some of the confusion about the identity of the driver. At the end, right before he dumped the vehicle, he took off the wig, threw it in the passenger seat, and then we were clearly able to make out a description of the suspect as he walked almost a half mile from the freeway before LAPD finally caught up with him here in Lincoln Heights at Avenue 33 and Pasadena Avenue. Guys, back to you.